Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge, and it is reveal time once again. Set 5, Firestorm, has just been announced, and today is the first of 25 days of reveals. So we are once again going to be doing our good old daily reveal videos, talking about all the new cards and all that fun stuff. Just having some good old time evaluating some cardboard, um, as I love to do. So let's go over some base details about the set. Um, so it is like very clearly the start of a new block, um, where we are doing a bunch of like trainers, Pokemon type dealies, like a bunch of Elestrals with Champion of X Elestral as their title, and that's being used to retrain a bunch of existing Elestrals, a bunch of fan favorites, and we're getting new divines as well. We'll go over all those details as we go through, but let's get into it. This set seems to be it's mainly focused on fire and wind with a sub focus on water and thunder, and that fire and wind focus comes to us in our new divine runes. So fire is one of the first to get its new divine rune, which kind of thank God, fire kind of needs it. Um, but I'm not sure Hestia is actually that big of an improvement over Hephaestus. So Hestia is you can enchant up to 3 extra onto it, and you can disenchant 2 from it to special cast a 1 spirit fire Elestral from your hand if an opponent controls the same number of Elestrals as you or more. So if you're already up on Elestrals, you can't use this to like flood the board out or anything like that. That's an interesting effect in that like the way it like allows you to go, okay, I normal cast out a dude. You have an answer to it. Okay, I will use Hestia and special cast out another dude. But like those need to be dudes that are like decent threats on their own. Stuff like Smokey doesn't feel super great for that use case because it's only 3 attack. It's not really threatening anything. But at the same time, the special cast synergies that we've seen in previous sets and in this set are those low attack point things that aren't able to be much of a threat on their own and are more providing value. But as like a value thing, Hestia runs into the same issue that cards like Aeolus always did, in that it's really expensive. It's super, super, super expensive. Like, disenchanting 2 plus having to commit a spirit to the new Elestral is a lot. And as we've discovered with Aeolus and like other types of tutoring cards, that kind of cost isn't really worth it. Like, this is basically paying the equivalent of Frostix. And Frostix is not a Frost staple because it's super expensive. And a lot of the time, what it's providing you with those expenses is not worth it. And this is one that needs it in your hand, which is like a more limited resource, but easier to set stuff up into sometimes, compared to the underworld. This can like also turn anything into effectively a Tadpuff, which is cool. When anything can be the Tadpuff, it's a lot harder for your opponent to justify going, okay, I'm gonna Gorgons here to stop you from ascending. And that can be used to like bait out Gorgons too. So there's some cool stuff there. But we'll get into it more as we get into the other fire cards. But like of the divine themes so far, I do feel the least impressed by Hestia. And like I think Fire really wanted like a really generic divine rune that could be reliably useful instead of something like this. But you know, it's interesting. Majorsa, on the other hand, Majorsa Champion of Hestia is super cool. So Majorsa is an 8/13 3 fire. When you cast it, you can target and destroy cards up to the number of Bear Elestrals on your field. Your Bear Elestrals get +1 attack for every fire enchanting each Hestia on the field. So we're gonna ignore that second part for the first bit. So like one of the strategies in Bears from Frostfall when it really established itself as an archetype, is that whole Ursa Den, accelerate into a big 3 cost, but you spent like 9 spirits doing that. And when you're just getting a body out of that, that's like really not that great. However, the value proposition is a lot better if we are going, okay, that Majorsa is now going to pop 3 things. And they either Gorgons it or they lose like everything, and the swing of advantage is huge, and your opponent still has to actually deal with the Majorsa. It's very, very potent. This is one of the Hestia synergies that is like pretty decent, but I don't know if it's good enough on its own. We'll see. We'll see. I think Hestia is just really expensive, and I need to see some good stuff that makes that expense worthwhile. But Majorsa, buffing everything by 1 attack for every Hestia, every spirit on Hestia is really nice. Because what that means is that all of those little weenie 2-3 attack bears that you have on the field from playing out your Ursa Den combo. Let's assume you use like 1 usage of Hestia in getting there, so it only has at most 2 spirits still on it. So we're getting a +2 attack buff across the board. That's still making those hit 4 or 5 attack, which is like very, very nice. Makes them like real statted cards, and like makes them huge threats when you could potentially have a Don't Poke waiting in the back line. I like Majorsa a lot. I think we know that we're getting more bear cards in this set too. Like A Drive showed like a tiny bit of like a Frost rune for bears that's coming, and we can tell from the starter deck list that there are more bear cards here. So like there's more stuff here, and like this is a really nice start, because it immediately goes, okay, that Ursa Den line that the deck had before is now a lot better, because what you're getting off of it is way stronger than it was previously. Okay, next we have the other new divine, which is Hermes for wind. Hermes is 1 wind initially, and then you can put up to 3 extra onto it. Its cost is also pretty heavy. I wonder if this is like looking at like how powerful Zeus and Demeter were and going, okay, we're going to be very careful with divines going forward, and make a bunch of these cost 2 for more like impactful plays in theory, giving them all like more impactful plays, but like also making them all have to disenchant 2 for their thing, so you can't do it over and over and over and over again like you can with Zeus and Demeter and just take over the game. But Hermes is you disenchant 2 winds from it to Foolish Burial and any Wind Elestral, which doesn't have like much of any synergy with existing cards. The only exception is like if you have an Ashbrow on the board, you can use this to dump Blistrix, but I'm not sure if that's a thing that Blistrix decks are really going to want to do, because that's a lot of wind space you have to make in the deck now. And it doesn't help you get to the Ashbrow. It only helps you once you're actually already on the Ashbrow. But you know, it is a new cool option for Blistrix to explore. The headliner champion, the face of the starter deck, is a new carry-off. So this carry-off really has like nothing to do with its previous self, which I do find a bit lame. Like, Majorsa very clearly ties in with what you were using Majorsa for before. So carry-off having like no relation to the like steal opponent stuff, things that the carry-on/carry-off line was doing before, is kind of lame, but the card's cool. So this is an 8/2. Its only on-field effect is you can shuffle an Elestral in your Underworld into your deck, which is on its own like fairly interesting, because that's the type of effect we haven't really seen before. And if we're doing these like a foolish burial guy get a benefit from that, that enables a lot more one-ofs, because when we get the carry off onto the board, we can then go, okay, shuffle it back, and I have access to that one again. When it is sent to the underworld with Hermes' effect, you can target an Elestral and expend spirits equal to the number of its enchanting spirits to destroy it. So this is pretty cool. It's based on enchanting spirits instead of enchantment cost, which is interesting and could make this way more expensive than other removal options. And this is like immediately like a pretty expensive removal option, because it's like for clearing a 1 cost that costs 3, and for anything bigger, like it starts getting really up there, like paying 4 to clear a 2 cost, like really expensive stuff. But like the direction we might want to be going with removal is that we want to make it more expensive so that people are getting their value out of are able to get their value out of having to get out this ascension. And 3 to kill a guy in the case of 1 cost isn't too bad. But like having to use this into say let's say a Leica Void, wow, that feels bad. You have to pay 6 total. That's so expensive. Does not feel great. But this card is pretty cool, and one of Hermes' options being just pop a guy is a pretty nice thing to have in that toolbox. So that's pretty cool. We also have these blisters. They are the return of Stellar Vipyro and Stellar Lycris. They don't look quite as good as the Kickstarter ones. They aren't the same art as the Kickstarter ones. They don't have like the frame break thing that we've seen from these blister pack Stellar Spirits before, which is a bit unfortunate. But these are still pretty cool. These are cool blisters. We're not getting any new cards with the blisters though. Like it's just these 2 blisters. It's only spirits. No Werepup spoil from the blisters like last time. And then should also talk about the Star decks, which are a really cool value thing, but like don't have any relevance to like the new cards. The Star decks are now 2 Star decks for $25 with 4 packs. Now, I am personally not that surprised that this was possible. The production of cards themselves is like the least expensive part of card game production. What you're trying to make your money back on is the art and development time. That is what you're trying to actually make that is what most of the profits are going towards, like making back the money on. When it comes to card games, the production of the cards themselves pretty damn cheap. And like, if I'm to be perfectly frank, the Star decks of Elestrals are really good, have a lot of good staples in them. So I was able to swallow on that end, but like $25 USD is really expensive for a single starter deck. Even with the packs thrown in, it was still really, really pricey. Like in other card games, you're expecting those starter decks to be like 10 to 15 USD. So $25 was a lot. So these becoming double starters puts them a lot more in line with the price to value you would expect out of starter deck products. And like throwing in the extra pack, very nice. You are effectively getting like almost the entire MSRP's worth in equivalent packs. Like the Star decks feel like they're effectively like $5, which is pretty cool. We do have the card list for these Star decks because pre-orders are up, so we'll go over those a bit later. Let's talk about some other cards that got revealed first. Also a cool thing with this. Let me see if I can find it in the... So they have these paper playmats now that are replacing the play guides. And the cool thing about these is they don't do the really bad thing that some card games do, where they go, okay, now flip it over to the back to read the rules. We have put the rules on the back. I've like these are the equivalent of the demo playmats that they've sent out to a bunch of stores that like one of the stores I play at already has, so I've seen what these look like. They do a really good job of laying out all of the rules on the front half, so you're not like trying to flip it over in the middle of playing the card game to see what the rules are. Instead, the back side is a poster. And you get 2 of these in each starter deck. Very good stuff. That's very nice. And also we have code cards, which is honestly a bit of a strange inclusion because you know, we get every functional card for free in Clash. So what are the code cards for? Here it is. Well, the code cards, here it is. The code cards are, you get Caster's coins. You get a seemingly random amount between 5 and 100 Caster's coins. 100 Caster's coins is the jackpot. That's literally a quarter of a box. That's crazy. That's nuts. But yeah, this is really cool. These are some really nice product changes. Now, do we want to go over no, let's go over these sellers first. Each of these star decks naturally has 2 serialized sellers and 2 reverse sellers now because they're double star decks now. But those pre-orders mean we get images of those sellers, which means we have some more cards we can talk about. So carry on. I want to talk about this one first because this card is so good. This card like immediately starts going, okay, this is a really good payoff for using Hermes. This is a 3/1 wind that when sent from your deck to the underworld with your Hermes' effect, you can special cast it from your underworld using wind from either your spirit deck or your underworld. Every time I see that line of text that says you can enchant this using spirits from your underworld, I am going to pog because it's really good. That's a really good line of text that I want to see more of. So this means one of the options for Hermes is you just special cast out a guy that you can ascend into something else, which is really nice, especially since Wind has access to Infornax, a really good ascension. And like that helps enable like Nexus plays and a lot of stuff. Really, really nice. And you don't have, unlike with the special cast that Hestia enables, this special cast doesn't ask you for a 3rd spirit. It just uses one of the spirits that you just disenchanted for Hermes' effect. Really, really great. Love this card a lot. Then we have the new Elestrals, Champion of Zeus. This is a 3, I believe that's a 1 defense, 1 thunder. When this Elestrals declares an attack, you can give it +1 attack for each thunder, enchanting each Zeus on the field until the next turn. So this Elestrals just becomes like a big attacker. It becomes like 6-7 attacker in this, like, Elestrals still effectively a 7. He is still a 7, and it lasts until the next turn. Is there maybe until the next turn ends? If it's only offensively, like if it's defensively, that's crazy. But just until the next turn is like, yeah, just hits a solid number, gets really big, can clear like anything, like up to effectively 9 attack when you include the Zeus debuff, which is kind of nuts. Also, really appreciate that Zeus's hair is also a different color palette on this stellar. That's the good stuff. The god is shiny too. But yeah, this is a pretty decent card. It just represents a big body on the board as a reward for having your Divine out, but that Divine is Zeus, so it's just like a really, really good card. Yeah, this is super solid. One thing I do want to know is that like it kind of leans towards like beta Gryph-use. If you're unfamiliar, if I recall correctly, a beta Gryph-use was like you picked something on the field, and if it's on your field, got +1 attack for each thunder enchanted on your field, and if it's on your opponent's field, it was -1 attack instead. So like this kind of leans back in that direction of Beta Grypheus, which is kind of interesting. That is an interesting design trend. And then we have the reverse stellars for Hestia versus Poseidon. So we have Earth Scout, Champion of Hestia, which is a 2/4, and when you special cast it, you can search your deck for a Champion of Hestia and add to your hand. That search is pretty nice, but also it's like you have to like pay into the super heavy cost of Hestia. So like you are still, to enable this at all, you're still effectively paying like the cost of well, no, bears have like enough ways to special cast. Like you have like the Viscerous Light in bears that can special cast this out, and then you just get that search for free, which is really nice actually. So yeah, there's more ways than just Hestia, but like clearly one of the intended ways for you to use this is with Hestia, and I don't feel that line feels super good, but using bears innate ways of special casting out a bear, that feels pretty good. You also have the one that lets you special cast one from a bear from your hand that you use to like accelerate Ursaden. So yeah, there's good stuff there. Then Sluggle, Champion of Poseidon. This is a 1 attack. I believe that's a 3 defense. When it receives 1 or more water with Poseidon's effect, you can special ascend this Sluggle to Globby from your hand or deck. That's pretty nice. Just immediately go into Globby. We are getting a Champion of Poseidon Globby, but like let's just real quick look at the Globby we have right now. It's a 4/8. Oh right, yeah. So original Globby is you can special ascend into Majesty from your hand or deck if it has 3 waters on it, and this is going to be 3 waters. If you cast it out with you cast Sluggle, that's 1 water, then you Nexus with Poseidon onto it, that's another water, and then you ascend, and Ascension requires you to put another spirit onto it from the spirit deck that could put you at 3 water, which means you can immediately ascend into Majesty, which is super cool. I really like that aspect of what they're doing with the title cards this time, where like there's interplay between the different versions that can both access this stuff. Really, really cool. This Sluggle is really awesome. Like a very quick Ascension line. As long as like you just need Poseidon plus Sluggle, and you just instantly just go straight up to Majesty. So original Majesty, which may be worth running with this, is a 6/14, gets +1 attack for each enchanting water on your field, and water enchanted Elestrals cannot be targeted by your opponent's Elestrals effects. That is pretty alright. And now let's where is it? So this is the one where we can see images of the new Volt Tempest and the new Majesty. So we have the full information on Volt Tempest. This card's crazy, by the way. This card's nuts. So this card is Volt Tempest is 14/7, 2 thunder, 1 wind. When your Champion of Zeus card is destroyed in battle, you can special cast this Volt Tempest from your hand with 2 thunder, 1 wind. If your Zeus is enchanted and you control no Elestrals. So your only guy dies, and then you just go, okay, eat this 14/7. Or you crash in your guy like you would do with Penta or stuff, and you go, okay, 14/7. This card's crazy. I can't believe the deck they gave this crazy of a top end to is Zeus. The Zeus really need the help. The Zeus really need any assistance being a good card. Like I feel like the Champion of Zeus stuff could have easily been the weakest of the batch and still been super good because it's giving you more benefits for being on Zeus, and Zeus is crazy. We can see some of uh some of Majesty, and we can like make out a decent amount. Um, it says something about your assumingly when Poseidon is enchanted, um, like something like when Poseidon is enchanted and Majesty is in attack position. I assume that's what that's going to be. Um, Basically seems to be turning all of your spirits into counting as water. It might still have the like buff effect of original Majesty, or the intention might be you get out both Majesties, and now the other Majesty is being buffed up super hard because everything counts as a water, which is a pretty cool effect. And then it also has some sort of healing effect. That returns up to 2 water. Maybe if this Majesty is destroyed or something else. I don't know. This is the only one that we don't have we don't have the full details of. We don't have like the full top end of. Um, but like the really quick ascension line that Sluggle gives you is like a really good baseline place for any Majesty to be, because they're just going to be really really easy to get out. And having a healing effect on top of that is very nice. It would be preferred if that's like on destruction, because if it's on destruction, that means it doesn't play into spoiled fruit in the really detrimental way. Like if it's something that happens while Majesty is still on the field, while that means it might be repeatable, that does have the result of, okay, now my opponent can just spoiled fruit me for my life savings, and that feels really really bad. So hopefully it's like when it dies. Also, these box toppers are really nice. These arts with like with the divine with the god and their champion Elestral. Really cool stuff. Really good art direction here. Like awesome stuff. Really big fan of it. Um, we do also have the Star decks, but we will talk about that in a bit more, because there is a binder, and importantly, as with every binder in the product images, they always have like this open shot of it with a bunch of cards inside, and every time, without fail, it's a bunch of new cards we have not seen yet. So let's talk about those, because there's a lot of really interesting thing in these cards, even if we can't fully make out all of them. So, thing to talk about first, Drataya escaped from Tartarus, and Sparkit escaped from Tartarus. These are largely identical to the versions we saw when Drataya was banned. So this is still the 2/4 Drataya that discards an Ambrosia or Golden Apple of discard in order to draw 2 cards, which is like probably not good enough. Like, especially with what we're seeing game plan decks get access to in this pack, like that's not good enough for fruits. Though that said, it would be really really cool if the second Earth Divine Rune is direct support for the fruit deck, and whenever set that happens, that's when we catch fruit back up. Sparkit has a small change. It is the last time we saw it, I believe it was 4 attack, 1 defense, with this same effect of when you normal cast the Sparkit, you can look it up to 2 random cards from your opponent's hand, discard one of them, and then it has the just ability to Nexus. It was a 4/1, I believe, last time we saw it. It is now a 3/1. Still very very good. It being on normal cast is both an enormous buff, but also like a pretty heavy nerf of like the worst kinds of gameplay that Sparkit was able to produce. Like making a normal cast means it is impossible for it to set up those boards where you're just ripping every single card out of your opponent's hand every single turn, just killing them forever, and there's no shot for them to come back. However, being normal cast and not requiring any Nexus setup to do it is really, really strong, especially since you do have some amount of choice over it, unlike, say, Typhland. So that's neat. We have the the base art of Sluggle, which is cool. We have some other champion cards that we're going to talk about in a bit. But before any of that, I want to talk about this Panzer and this new Flamoth line, because these are not titled cards, but they have completely different effects from the versions of these that we know. The stat lines are different too. Like this Flamoth, you can see is an 8-4. This chart, and it was a 9-4 originally. This Charcoon is a 2-6. It was originally a 1-6. So really cool stuff happening there. So let's take a look at them. These are blurry, but like I can mostly make out what these do. So the Nimbug is when you normal cast it, you get to search your deck for a Charcoon, a Flamoth, or a Foloi Forest and add it to your hand. And Flamoth is an 8-4, 2 wind, 1 fire. Your opponent's Elestrals get, I believe that's -1 attack, -1 defense. That like global debuff is like pretty cool. And then oh yeah, okay, I missed part of it. Your opponent's Elestrals get -1 attack, -1 defense for each Nimbug and Charcoon in your underworld. So if you go through the Ascension line, then this is actually probably why these are not titled cards, so that you can't have more copies of Nimbug and Charcoon in your deck. You're still limited to 3 of each. And then you can destroy a Foloi Forest on your field. If you do, destroy all cards on the field except for this Flamoth. So like, this seems to point towards the idea of a titled Foloi Forest, but the concept could also just be you are burning down the forest, and it's still just original Foloi Forest. So I could see it going either way. I would prefer if it's a new Foloi Forest, so that we can get like a new stadium that's synergized with these cards. Especially if it's titled, because that means you can run more of it so that you can get this effect off more often. But like, I don't think like when we have a search card, I don't think it's very likely that you go that route. That effect is really, really strong. Board wipes are obviously extremely powerful. So like, that's really cool. As always, these sorts of things have an issue of, well, you can still get Gorgon's Gaze, but like, it's still pretty good to like look your opponent dead in the eyes and go, give me your Foloi Forest. Give me your Gorgon's Gaze right now, or you're losing your entire board. Very, very strong. And that debuff, counting every copy of Nimbug and Charcoon, is really strong. It makes the 4 defense. It has a lot less of a liability. You'll still die to Specterus, of course, but like that's a pretty powerful debuff. It means like, for example, it's not too difficult to, shouldn't be too difficult to get into a spot where like Eddie Zeus can't get over you. Actually, no, that's probably pretty difficult because you need 3. If we assume we go through some sort of ascension line to get here, that's 2. We need to get another one in there, but it is in wind, so we do have the Hermes stuff. I don't know, we'll see. But that debuff effect is still like very, very. That's good stuff. That is a good effect to be seeing. And then the Charcoon, I can't really make out the Charcoon, particularly the first effect. I can't make out what that is saying at all. But the second effect seems to be if this Charcoon is destroyed by your opponent's card effect, your opponent must disenchant, must expend a spirit, which is pretty cool. That's nice to have like something of like, okay, if you deal with this thing, you must like give me something. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Doesn't seem to have a special ascension effect to go into Flamoth though, which is is a choice. Is certainly a choice. But that Flamoth stuff is pretty cool. Then we have a new Panzer over here as well. And I like really can't make out this Panzer at all. But like it's very clearly a new Panzer, so that's cool. Um, then because it does not have the Nexus 2. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then we have some more champions cards. We have Spy Nymph in Earth. This is a champion of Hermes, however. Um, so when you normal cast it, you just get to search for Hermes at your hand, which is really great. That's good consistency to be seeing. And then you can disenchant a wind from Spy Nymph in order to special ascend into Spinosec from your hand or deck. So you need to find a way to get a wind onto the Spy Nymph. But if you can find the mechanism to do that, then it's just a free special ascension into whatever the Spinosec is. Of course, there is always original Spinosect, which is, I believe it can attack from defense position. So 1/9. It can attack in defense position, which is like isn't that strong. It still dies to like any Eddie. Eddie just immediately wipes it off the face of the earth. No, which is not like the ideal place to be as a card. Where the hell is it? Here it is. Okay. And then Emphyrex is a 3/4/1 fire. You can disenchant. Is that disenchant a fire from Hestia, or is it from your field? That bit's unclear. I can't really tell on that bit. But you add to add a 1 spirit fire Elestral from your underworld back to your hand. And then if you ascend over this Emphyrex during your end phase, you can special cast it from your underworld with fire. So there's no additional cost to doing that special cast, which is pretty cool. That's pretty neat. There's a different way of getting payoff for using Hestia. Because you get to go, okay, I'm going to special cast this out, and then I'm going to ascend over it with something, and then the Emphyrex is going to come back, and I get whatever ascension I want, which is some pretty cool stuff. That's a cool aspect. Like obviously, one of the aspects of Hestia is that it gives you ascension fodder so that you can immediately go up into some big ascension, and Emphyrex feeds into that, and it also like has the mode of going, okay, I'm going to get back whatever specific thing you want to be able to special cast. So that's a cool card. Yeah. And then the last like card we have full details on is Exaltair. This is the Stellar Exaltair that is like the pre-order promo for every $50 you spend on pre-orders. This card is crazy. This card is nuts. So, Exaltair, Champion of Hermes, is a 3/1. I'm going to ignore this first line of text. Let's focus on the second line of text first. When your Hermes is enchanted, this Exaltair gets +3 attack. So it's a 6/1. It's a crab. It's a crab that you don't have to constantly pay into or switches itself to defense. It's just a 6 guy. It's just a 6 guy. That's really, really powerful. That is a really strong payoff for going into this strategy, going like, I just have a guy who is a 6. Now, he also has this first line of text, which is this Exaltair cannot be destroyed in battle the turn you special cast it from your underworld. Now, there is no way for you to make use of that at the moment. And when I was talking about that and what I theorized it could indicate, I said, hey, that probably means that there's a counter rune in this set that lets you revive like 1-cost wins, right? Because otherwise, because this is the fact that you specifically want to be getting off during your opponent's turn, so you can go, okay, I'm safe from you. This is a guy who's going to stick. Or I can just like bring it out at random during the battle phase. Like being a counter rune makes that sort of thing versatile in the way that this Exaltair wants. And A Drive said that I'm a genius for like Like he said, I like the way you think. Something along those lines. I was like, okay. Okay, so you're saying that's what's happening. So if that's the case, this card is insane. It's already like a really good payoff for being in on the Hermes stuff because it's just a 6 attacker. It is just a 6 attacker. Like it loses to like it loses to Specterus, of course, but like you can kill the Specterus. Like you can Cryoblast it, you can carry off it, like you know, yeah, like there's stuff you can do about that. This is a very very powerful effect, like the kind of really good simple payoff that you really want to be seeing in these. Like, I am by far the most impressed with Hermes thus far because what are the Hermes cards we've seen? We have seen Exalter, really good. We have seen Carry On and Carry Off, both really nice payoffs for Hermes, and we have seen Spy Nymph, which has like a decent stat line, is your basic searcher, and also has a way to special ascend into like a currently unknown card, effectively, because we're not special ascending into base Spinal Ascent. We are going to be special ascending into the new Champions of Hermes Spinal Sect. So that's cool. The Champion of Hermes stuff seems like it has really really high potential. Pretty exciting stuff. Then let us go over to the last thing we have to talk about here. Oh god, this video has been going real long, but it's fine. So these are the starter deck lists. So we can see a bunch of new cards. So Zeus, we have the entire Volt Tempest line of Champion of Zeus, but we also have full Gary's. Which one is full Gary's again? Is that the little mushroom? No, full Gary's is full Gary's is the is the Valkyrie's equivalent. Right. So there's a full Gary's Champion of Zeus. And there's also Titanostrike Champion of Zeus. Hope you're better this time, buddy. Hope you're better this time. And then there's a bunch of other like nice stuff to be seeing in here. Elishik, original Griffuse, original Volt Tempest. Zoltan, Astrabbit, good stuff. Galaxair is pretty cool to see. Zeus, Thunderbolt Zeus. Then we have this new card. There's been a new rune in Poseidon has one too. New rune with like the Divine's name in there. So Zeus's Call is in here. We'll have to see what that is. Mount Olympus, Race to the Top, Tsunami, staple, Hurricane, big staple. That card's like $12 right now. Ambrosia, of course. Pandora's Box reprint, very nice to see. PTA. Then Champion of Hermes stuff. We have the Carry Off Carry On duo. We have Cockadoodle Dracodoodle as well as Champion of Hermes. We have the Exalter Champion of Hermes and Spinal Sect, of course. Original Carry On Carry Off are in here. Toxic Swarm, Cockadoodle, Specterus, good stuff. Then for stuff that goes alongside Hermes, we have Codicus of Hermes, Talaria of Hermes. Those could both very easily be artifacts, which would be interesting. Hermes is Trickery as well. So those are going to be a bunch of runes that tie in with the Hermes stuff that we have yet to see. We also have Ambrosia, Earthquake, Dense Fog, Rise from the Ashes, Altar of Stars, Gorgon's Gates. Lots of good stuff in here. Then over on Hestia and Poseidon, we have Champion of Hestia's for Earth Scout, Warmite, and Torchin. Oh, actually, there aren't any more bears that got Champion of Hestia versions. I thought there was, but no, there isn't. The other Champion of Hestia stuff is not bear related. It's Warmite and Torchin. So that's interesting. But like something to bear in mind is that these cards with the original names, as we are seeing with Panzer and the Flammoth line, those don't mean that they aren't new cards. They could still be new cards. There's a Lavalith reprint in here. Very nice. Hestia-related cards in Torch of Hestia and Hestia's Hearth. Chains of Prometheus reprint. Don't Poke the Bear reprint. Ursaden reprint. Cryoblast reprint. Very cool. Pandora's Box reprint also in this starter deck. We have Cryoblast. It's great. That's a $5 card right now. Hibernation is that Frost Bear rune that Dan teased recently. Ambrosia, 1 copy of Rusting. And then on the Poseidon side, we have Majesty, Sluggle, a new Globby. Then we have Veritaqua, Javalantis, and Galaxy 2! Whale Arrow question mark continues. It will never end. But we also have original Sluggle, original Globby. No original Majesty in here, though. It's just, which feels a bit weird. Because the Volt Tempest deck has original Volt Tempest. But whatever. It is what it is. Then we have Dutagua, Foamy, original Veritaqua, original Javalantis, Harpy. Harpy might be that Water Nexus of Plucky that we saw on Showered Stars binder. So that might be what that is. But that is the first new Elestral we've seen from this set. Then we have a new Poseidon card and Poseidon's Fury. We have Rise from the Depths, Tsunami, High Tide, Circle the Sky, Divine Healing. That's cool to see. Altar of Stars, Gorgon's Gaze, BTA. Like, lots of good stuff. Really, really good starter decks. Really fantastic starter products. Like, really liking what I'm seeing here. The design directions of these Champions cards is really good and feels like they are being made, like, very strong with the understanding of what game plan decks, how strong game plan decks need to be to, like, overcome good stuffs. So I'm very excited for what we're going to see out of this set. Now, we have been going for, like, 46 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up there. That's all the content we have for today. Lots of stuff to go over, though. Probably won't be as much on the following days, but this was the big, like, product announcement day, so, like, lots of stuff to talk about. On one last note, I do want to say that I am so happy to see that the team's response to realizing that there was no way for them to stop distributors from just leaking out the product info, that the response ended up being on the very next set that we just go, okay, we just start our reveals earlier. We just start our reveals at a point before the distributors would start putting out that information. And thus, we don't have anything leaked. We're revealing it on our own terms with people and drawing people towards our own channels, which is good stuff. Really, really great to see that, like, very quick reaction to that issue from the team. Great stuff. That's it for me today. I'm very excited for this set. This is going to be Hunter Surge signing off.